Looks like Amber's people might have just openly admitted their defeat to the jury and the entire world. But wait, there's more. They may just have even helped Johnny win the case. So what has Amber's lawyer done this time to mess everything up for them? After Ben Chew, Johnny Depp's lawyer had finished with his closing statement. Amber's people took the podium, and that's when all hell broke loose. I have to admit, her lawyer started pretty good and made some pretty compelling arguments at first. But a couple of minutes down the line, he blew it all as usual. While talking about Amber's op-ed and how her retweet of the article didn't mean she was promoting it, he made a pretty huge slip-up. In an attempt to completely flip the jury to their side, the lawyer specifically told the member of the jury to disregard all the facts and evidence presented for the case.
But here we are. Here we are. And you can decide this case without ever wading into any of the allegations, the facts, the evidence that you've heard about the heinous abuse that Ms. Heard suffered at the hands of Mr. Depp. You can decide that by determining that those statements are true and that they're protected by the First Amendment. But Mr. Depp brought this case, and he's suggesting that he was never abusive to Ms. Heard. So if that's where you want to make your decision, that's where the road ends for Mr. Depp.
While this was the biggest giveaway that Amber and her team have no idea what they are fighting for, it wasn't the only tell that they were lost. Later, while the lawyer was still trying to convince the jury to go with Amber on whatever they decide, he made a reference to Johnny's childhood.
That's what we're talking about. Let's look at the evidence. You heard Mr. Depp define abuse from his own mouth. He admitted all of that when he talked about his childhood. As they referenced, his mother called him one-eyed because he had a lazy eye. And he said that that was worse than the beatings that he took. Worse than the beatings that he took. Being called one-eyed by his mother was worse than the beatings that he took.
From what the lawyer mentioned, it's more than obvious that he just shot himself in the leg, as there have already been several recordings played of Amber calling Johnny the worst names as bad as a deadbeat dad. And this is just to name one of the many instances where the actress verbally called him the worst possible names. In fact, this was so bad that it didn't happen when they were alone. Amber actually said those words to Johnny right in front of his son, a kid that was around 10 years old at the time. Well, if she is capable of going that low and humiliating Johnny in front of his kids just to make sure she hurt his feelings, then there's more than a huge chance she assaulted him. And that's even beside the mountain of evidence that confirms that notion. Now, it's safe to say that Amber has pretty much lost this case because even her lawyers know her story isn't straight. But we'll wait for the jurors to make the announcement themselves. How about you? How do you see things?